Welcome to Season 5 of Outstanding Women Leaders, Witty and Wise Conversations. I'm your host, Katie L. Leeds, founder and chief owl at Outstanding Women Leaders Professional Coaching and Podcast, an organization dedicated to empowering women in leaderships, relationships, and life. Owl is on a mission to host 100 million witty and wise conversations that inspire you, disrupt the way you think, and stir your soul into aligned action. That inspiration begins with a set of rules to guide our conversation today. Nobody gets to be wrong. Nobody gets to be right. Everybody gets to be vulnerable. And my favorite rule number 4, everything is included. We do not edit here. This conversation is exactly what it needs to be in this moment in time. We've asked our guests to join us via video to allow us to create authentic connection. Eyes are the window to the soul. You will be seen here. You will be heard. There is space for you. When this conversation comes to a close, I will ask our guests 3 questions. If you've tuned in before, you know what they are. If you haven't, you don't want to miss them. But enough about me. Today, I'm excited to welcome outstanding women leader, Lorraine Berg. Lorraine is the visionary driving force behind human-centered workplaces. As founder, consultant, and business analyst, Lorraine brings over 2 decades of expertise across dynamic leadership, entrepreneurial ventures, and corporate environments, including prestigious roles within the global beauty and wellness industry. Renowned for her ability to untangle complexity and bring clarity to chaos, she excels at fostering alignment between leadership and teams, enhancing both communication and productivity. With a deep commitment to transform business and strategies, she leverages cutting-edge practices from the BG5 Business Institute on the Science of Differentiation to guide her clients to achieving their goals, optimizing resources, and streamlining efforts for lasting impact. Welcome, Lorraine. So good to have
Hello.
you.
Hello, everybody tuning in from wherever you are, wherever
If you've
space and
tuned in
time.
before, you know we love a good 3-5 manifester on our
Hi.
program. And before we dive in to learn all about the work that you're doing and the transphoric energies, ooh, I'm super excited for this. How does one go from the beauty industry and business to give me your birth date and time and let's go?
Oh, if anybody knows anything about human design and understands no choice, I think I didn't have a choice in the matter. Um, so for about roughly 20, it's going to be 27 years now, I've been involved in the beauty and wellness industry. I'm born into this industry. I have parents who are entrepreneurs in this industry, and I kind of grew up in that environment. And as conditioning have it, um, that's where I started. I started in the beauty and wellness, but I did go to a university here in the United States. I'm American from first generation parents. And I always loved the business side of the hair industry. So I always worked with corporations and global manufacturers, more in sales, marketing, and education. So I love admin. And if you look at my design, if you like design, you can see that in my small group, energetic predisposition, it is known as administration. So in small team environments or small collaborative groups, I love being the administrator of plans. So that's been my whole story. So at the peak of my career, I was working for hair brand manufacturers, developing different territories, opening up districts, and educating them in systems. And I had my own brick and mortar salon of 28 employees, which I scaled within 10 years, was nationally recognized as one of the top 200 beauty salon and spas of North America. I've been published. I've been on platforms. I've been in tons of media in my industry and absolutely love it. Um, Human design is something that I don't think was a coincidence. I've been studying esoteric knowledge since the beginning of time. I love a good system. So I've actually studied all of the systems within human design singularly in my early 20s. So I started my voyage with my older brother being a Buddhist abbot and teaching me about Eastern thought and philosophy since the age of 14. So I hopped around a lot of religions and spiritual disciplines, astrology, Kabbalah, the Book of Changes. I've always been curious about the hidden world of things, the cycles, the patterns, and the languages that shape our experience today that are part of the sacred in the mundane. And luck be a lady, I was in this huge mastermind of million-dollar entrepreneur women. And we were in a break, and I remember in between segments, and this is a business mastermind. So it was all about systems, processes, people, right? Scaling, profitability, very business talk. And there was a group of women that were having a conversation that caught my attention. I have a strategic left mind. So it caught my attention because one of the young ladies who was speaking was one of my former students 15 years prior. And she goes, yeah, well, none of my chakras are defined and I amplify people's energies. So my mind was like, what? In this business multi-million dollar mastermind that was nothing esoteric or spiritual. There's always a conversation that'll surprise you in there. And she happened to share, yeah, go here to mybodycraft.com and put in your information and you'll get your composite. And luck be a lady, I pulled it up and I was like, whoa, like I know this, but I don't know this, right? Like I know all of what this is, but to see a synthesized version of it was definitely something that put me on a radical path. I've been practicing human design entering my sixth year now in my radical experiment, where I shut my business down and went full time into BG5, studying and learning the ways of the holistic modern leader entrepreneur. And it just made so much sense on why sometimes some teams work and some don't. And how you get that synergy and that je ne sais quoi, like when you enter a business, like a brick and mortar, you get that vibe, right? It's working or it's not working. Even before you know all the details, there's always this energetic presence. And that's what I do now. So that's the foundation of my story. I also support a lot of the consultants that are emerging in their trajectories of education, Katie being one of them. That's how we met. And it's something that lights me up. I'm extremely passionate about it. And I really get to share the information in a way that is very practical and simple and actionable for people. Because human design has many different pathways. You can do sociology or child therapy, family planning, you could do PHS for health, you could do the personal transformational side. But our side at the BG5 Institute has to do with all of the material business world. So it's about teams, leadership styles, communication strategies, emotional intelligence, and really making the information accessible to as many people who have ears for it.
Hmm. Yes, I got to meet you in the foundations course, and I have a right mind, and so there was a little bit too much strategy. I'm more of a let me intuitively interpret. But I always love learning from you, and I'm excited today to talk about those energies. You had a phrase that you used for it.
The transauric, right?
Trans
Entities,
trans.
transauric. Because every person, Katie, as you know, has an energy field. We have this life force, this presence, this vibe to us. But when you start bringing those vibes together, they start to create something different. And those energies are what BG5 consultants train, master, and understand how to help communication when all of that energy is vibrating together.
Mm.
Because there's nothing more conditioning on this planet than the Penta and the Wa. They are the largest conditioning forces on. So
Yeah.
we help to dissect those for people,
Yes.
particularly leadership roles.
When I first joined, I was like, huh, Google, this is why you did your big, huge cloud study and you couldn't figure out how do you recreate high performing teams. And the best that they could come up with was, well, they share memes and they laugh together. And I imagine you have some nice words to describe that transauric energetic field that they have, which is what causes them to work together.
Or not.
Or not.
That's the famous human design term, right? Or not. And the trial and error that we all go through, especially anybody in a leadership role that is managing other people, it is the biggest challenge worldwide, is
Hmm.
managing other people. And that's what's changing. Our current modern workplace landscape is radically shifting and changing. And we have to listen to what people are sharing. Some people are designed to work in groups. Some people are not designed to work in groups. And those are some of the things that Katie, you learned a little bit in foundations, like what your environmental, beneficial, situational environments are for each person, as we're all unique. We all understand that we're like biometric thumbprints. No two people are ever alike. We have this substructure of complexity towards us. But what we do with charts, maps, and graphs is that we bring the practical visuals to this forefront, which I love to call business intelligence for anybody in a leadership role. So you can see how that energy is moving within the team or the business, known as the Penta or WA.
And so for me, I learned that everything I've ever done instinctually has been correct. So that was fun for me in BG5. I am designed for partnerships and I am here to consult and coach in corporate. I'm not here to be a part of it, which is probably why I never have been. And ultimately, what makes me great at supporting them from that way. Tell me a little bit about this transauric energy. Like, how do you look at assessing it? Do you have to get into charts and graphs, or is there a way that you just can walk in intuitively and know that as well?
Great questions, because one is abstract and one is logical. One is in aura and another one is abstract, looking at charts and data. So I'll piece that apart here in a second. Um, the penta, which is in BG5 terms, what we call the small unified group dynamics. It ranges anywhere between 3 and 9 individuals within a construct. So anytime you have 3 to 9 people in a formation, on a program, on a Zoom call, in Aura, working on a project together, right? It creates something different because you are converging skill sets, strategies, and authorities. You're combining all the holistic nature of people into this energetic influence. And like anything in this life, everything operates in binary and hierarchies, rules, and laws. That is the material plane, no matter where you look. So we understand those laws, those mechanics, and what is required that gets fully expressed within the pentadynamics. Only certain parts of charts get highlighted in group work. And that's where skill competency development occurs. You have to really localize what your skill sets are within group formation to be able to then develop the competency of said. And because we work with the binaries of conscious and unconscious, sometimes those skill sets are unconscious for people. And this is where leadership needs to lean in to help develop succession plans towards competency. It comes natural to people, but you're not aware that you do something really well. And then, there's complexities underneath all of that. But ultimately, we're trying to find the comfort within working in teams. We're trying to refine communication strategies where everybody's voice is heard and understood, and every individual within that team is respected for who they are. Traditional to unconscious pentas, they usually operate with conditioning elements because we are unaware of what they are drawing out of us, and they bring out the negative side of our signatures. We face a lot of frustration, a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger when we are confined to these energies that are conditioning us. So because we don't have the words, it's almost like being an infant. You don't have the words to like express why you feel a discomfort in that team. it creates a little bit more distortion and chaos. So as an expert analyst, we're here to illuminate the awareness potential for all that are involved, so we find greater purpose and ease when we are collaborating together in groups, because we work faster, stronger, and we get further when we are working together in groups. That old adage that says if you want to go fast, right, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go in a group. So it's really important to understand how that affects you, how it influences you, and how can you stay in your personal authority and sovereignty while you're collaborating with other people, just by sharing some things about how that works.
Hmm. What do you notice when you come into a team where does their transoric energy start? Like, how do you see it shift? Tell us like what that looks like from a strategic process.
Oh, it's incredible. I love it. I think I'm working on my 17th business now since the start of my company. This process that we're speaking about, when we do business analysis, it's a very much transformational process. It takes time, usually long months of engagement, because you have to, right, educate and bring up a lot of things so people understand. Typically, when a business comes to me and isn't aware about energetic influences, which is what we work with human design, what is the capacity of your energy for said project, said skills, said timeline, right? We start looking at the team environment, and you can see whether it could be potential friction. You can see who gels, who doesn't. We have harmonies, we have dissonances. There's these different rules that happen within teams that we get this snapshot at. And you will hear it on onboarding of companies, all of the gaps that are usually the conflicts and the crisis and the challenges that leadership is having with understanding how to get more cohesion and synergy out of the team. And then you look at charts and you can clearly see where those gaps are that are really conditioning people in a negative way. So then we work on bringing awareness, speaking into skill sets and the competency of said skills while we are developing talent. These are words that we use in the business world. And we help unlock more ease, because most people don't know what they're really good at, especially in team environments. So they try to do it all. And that's where the pitfall comes in, because we're not here to be everything to everyone at any time. We're here to be very precise with the way that we use our energies, so we maximize efficiency in that way. And by month 3, 4, you're already starting to find a little bit more cohesion in business structures. There usually is a little bit of reorganizational that happens within that. Some people are designed to hold specific roles, be supportive roles, be different things for different people. And when we start segmenting projects based off of skill sets, that's when you start to see the magic unfold, because it naturally clicks in and people naturally find more ease and more satisfaction and success in the way that they are producing work. And in turn, the exchange of the bargain, the paycheck. Then they start really enjoying their workplace. They start feeling more valued, start being recognized for what they contribute to the business, to the organization, to the team. And there's a different energy that comes out of it. And that's the goal of any BG5 expert or analyst, is to get more cohesion and synergy along the way. So those are just some of the ways that it shows up in business practice. And it's a delight, when we speak to team members and we tell them, hey, do you know that you're really good at doing this? And some people are like, no, but everybody always told me I was good at this, And it's really interesting to start making those connections with people. And it's like, great, so let's start developing that. How do we develop that more and just have you keep being like this shiny and happy and new every time you are going to work every day? Because let's be honest, going to work nowadays does not feel like that for most people. And that's why coaching and consulting is such an important part of business development because we're trying to figure it out, right? We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
And
I've
I,
always thought this would be so great for any company that wants to do a reorg. We already know that when Mackenzie comes to town is a literal book about how we can destroy a reorg in 5 seconds. And there is a secret sauce to reorging. And right now, everybody just freaks out when there's a reorg. But imagine having a reorg based on aligning energies with where
yeah,
they're meant to go so that I always call it a kink in your garden hose. We
yeah,
just need to unkink these garden hoses so they can flow in a way that's more natural for them.
absolutely. And it starts with leadership. Teamwork is something that is very fascinating in my line of work, and I absolutely love it for the heart of what it is. Because it is moving bigger communities. It has that responsibility towards people's livelihoods and families and how they produce and live their dreams. But it has to start with leadership. If it doesn't start from the top, it's really hard to get more synergetic flow if the leader doesn't understand what their style is, even before they consider a reorganization. So it's something that's really interesting to think about. Because then what we do is we match leadership to the team, right? We match that leadership style, even if it's a corporate setting of a C-suite, down to all the organizational channels of communication and making sure that there is a link that bridges the two, that connects, that supports each other in the most optimal ways.
Mm.
So yeah, regorgs aren't scary. They just need to be done with care and intention and an open heart because they're not easy. When I mean, most reorganization now happens very authoritatively. You're going from here to here, and that's your new job load, and that's it, right? You're absorbing this, and you're moving there, and you're going to absorb this, and they're just throwing people into situations without any real change management approach to it or the why behind things. Because in this day and age, everybody loves to know the why behind everything. So if there isn't a justifiable why behind anything, why should we do it? Right? Why? It's classic in architecture as well. If you're going to build something, it has to be foundationally sound, right? Or why do it? So it's one of those things that I find interesting about the line of work that I do.
Mm. What would you say to people that talk about work on your weaknesses? I'm really
Uh,
curious to hear what that looks like from your perspective.
I do have to say that perhaps like 18 years ago, the way that I was being trained through corporate was always on that. And I never liked that. It always made me feel small and not whole, and like there was something wrong with me I had to fix. So that part I never really jived with. Until this day, I still don't. So if you're asking my opinion, weaknesses aren't a bad thing. It's just the way that people are presenting the idea. Limitations are an inherent part of being a human being, and accepting limitations is the most transcendental quality any leadership can have. Again, going back to the statement of we're not here to do everything and be everything to everyone. We are here to be who we are in full authenticity, sovereignty, bringing the spirit of our essence to what we do. And that's a huge radical shift from the old paradigm of leadership into the new. We're not weak. We don't have weaknesses. Just because I can't do what you do doesn't mean I'm weak. And I have to learn that in order to feel whole or recognized or accomplished. So it's really just flipping those narratives because gone are those days. Gone are those days, and let me say it louder, gone are those days where people are sacrificing and trading it in for the pain, for the paycheck, we're not doing it anymore. We're not doing it. And we're not broken and we're not weak and we're not here to like fill that void. We're here to be human beings and to do what comes most best to us, right?
Yeah. So what I hear is that instead of work on your weaknesses, it's recognize your limitations, is what I hear you
Yes.
saying.
Comes down to discernment,
Mm,
right?
my
I'm
core talent.
Yes, it's kind of like I am not good at that task, so why am I going to try to master it if I'm not good at it? I don't like it. It's not, it's not me, right?
Mm. Yes.
So, yes.
As an executive coach, I hear that often. I want to know more about my strengths and weaknesses. And
Yeah.
I like to reframe, well, weaknesses are where you get to be wise.
Mhm.
You get to be wise about your limitations. You also can be wise about those that are good at them. I
Mhm.
like this idea of limitations. I'm going to borrow that one as well.
Please
And
do.
when you look at, you have this beautiful organization you founded now, the human centered,
Centered
yes,
workplaces.
human centered workplaces. What do you see the future of work being?
Oh, I love this question. I have a vision for my company, and I believe that it lies in clear communication, mutual respect, and the power of aligned collaborations. And I think that the more we can recognize that that probably has some secret sauce ingredient in there, the more we can find momentum in the projects at hand. So the whole ethos of my company is all about bringing the humans back into the center of the workplace. We are not just spreadsheets. We are not just performance metrics, right, that are measured on quotas. And we're not here to be pushed and wrangled like cattle, to do things that potentially make us not feel so good about ourselves. And human beings are the heart of any business. They are what power businesses into success, which is one of my statements in my company. It's all about the humans who power the business to success. Because without those human beings, you don't have a business.
Hmm.
Without clear communication into a very, very challenging competitive marketplace, your
Yeah,
business isn't going to be
what would you
seen.
like to inform the Sam Altmans of the world and the Elons where the heart of business is artificial intelligence? Where do you see that?
Oh, I love this conversation as well. I like always being in the middle ground of everything. I just want to start by saying that I don't think inherently in life, right, there is good or bad. It just is what it is, just like money, right? It's not good, it's not bad, it is what it is. I think AI is the same. It's not good or bad, it just is what it is. The part that I find fascinating about how I am processing this information is that I think that it's coming here to change the way we communicate. In a recent study, which I'll share after this, a recording with you, just showed that by 2027, more than 95% of the content that you are going to consume is going to be AI distorted. All of it is going to be touched by AI. Commercials, ads, communications, voiceovers, copycats, right? All of it is going to be filtered. The information that we get is going to be filtered through these systems. And this is why I feel and believe with all of my spirit why human connection is so important and why birth data is going to be the only thing that we can rely on into the future
Mhm.
as authenticity. And the myriad of what our communication is going to shift into in the next 5 to 10 years. Can you even imagine? Will you be able to trust what you see? Will you be able to understand the motives and intentions behind the emails you read? Are you going to be able to discern with true emotional clarity what that message is saying to you out in the ethers in marketing propaganda? It's going to be something radically interesting to pay attention to.
Mm.
So, how do we keep the humans at the center of these organizations aligned and authentic so people can trust them, so people know them?
Hmm. So if we bring that back full circle, what I'm hearing from you as well is that people energy doesn't lie. And so if we're in the transauric energy, if there's lying there, people know. Mhm.
Yeah. And they can't take that away from us because AI will never have spirit.
Mm, yes, that's why I think I'm getting away from human-centered leadership and calling it soul-centered because you can make your AI look as human as you like, but I dare you to get someone convinced that there is a soul.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to be facing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about discernment and making correct decisions for oneself and really having that discerning eye and real right? Because think about the advancement of technology nowadays, how common is it that every person that has a cell phone gets scam calls? Like, how common is it that people's social medias are getting hacked all the time? Like, there is this pervading, controlling force out there that God knows when, or how it does whatever it does, and algorithms and pattern matching and all that kind of stuff. But we're the real people. Where are the real people? I see all this like AI generated content, and for me, it just gives me the ick, like what my teenage daughter calls. It's just like an ick when I see a promotional thing with all kinds of emojis and dashes and tags. You're like, ick, like, where's the person? I want to speak to who's in charge here, right? I want to get them on the phone. You call customer service and you have to go through all these prompts and you just want to make a payment. Like, but it's like some of those things is like, just get a person on the line. Can I talk to somebody? Can it just be quick and right to the point and remove some of that fluff? And don't get me wrong, love AI. I think it's amazing. It's going to revolutionize so many different industries. It is very much needed, especially for the medical community. Like, there's so much beauty to it, right? But I also feel like we need to also step our game up as human beings and have more conversations like this, like you and me, Katie,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And be real people, being vulnerable, sharing messiness, because that's part of being human. I'm not here to show up to you being fully polished. I didn't even brush my hair today. I'm a human being, right? Like, it's like that's where the essence is for me in foundational work. It's just accepting that humanness, that rawness, that messiness that sometimes comes out of us, the typos that sometimes come out of us. That's going to be the real value in the future.
Yeah.
Believe me.
You would have liked little Katie in fifth grade when I was told that I needed to get better at spelling. And we had one computer in the entire school, and I was like, there's spell check for that. They also told me I would needed to know math, and I was like, it's fine. What I wanted to do instead was read, and I do still put my stake down on that. That was important.
Yes, that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to do, is to read.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What haven't we talked about here today that is important for people to hear?
What haven't we spoken about? I'm not going to tell you much about the offerings that I have because that's what the web link is for. But what I'd like to say is to just get curious about transauric entities, get curious about group energies. I think this is important for leadership to understand, even at a personal level, because leadership to me is also self-leadership. So yes, we speak of it in the sense of business terms, somebody in a leadership role, managerial role, but ultimately, everybody is their own leader inside. Get curious about how those affect you. Can you notice changes or shifts? Are you interested in knowing how those energies work when people are grouped together? And that's number one, because I think most people don't even consciously think about that. Some people do. I would say that people that are really sensitive to large group energy environments already recognize that they don't like big concerts and big, right? But it happens in the mundane, and there's some magic there. And there is a role that each and every one of us plays within that. And that's what I'd like to invite people to get curious about, is what is that about?
Yeah. And when you say entity, inform our audience what that means for them listening.
I guess for lack of better words, right? It's an entity and it's an energetic construct that is not fixed. So it's
Mm.
always mutating depending on the energies and the people that are coming and going. There are rules and laws on how these operate that we are trained in. But this entity happens when you have three people is the number that starts a transauric entity. The minute you are two people, okay, that's a partnership. And in our world, in consulting and energetics, 1 + 1 = 3, because those two people's energies click in together like batteries, positives and negatives, and they create a unified fixed form. But when you bring in a third person into that conversation, now there's a convergence of energy. And that's what we call the transorg entity. It's a convergence of energy, skill sets, abilities, shadows, and distractions that all are communicating. And it's something that is part of us being social bio creatures, that we are designed to always form in groups. And that's just the law of life.
Mm. Yeah.
It's part of the predisposition of our genetics is to group to survive. So those are the things that we speak about with how do we apply that in a business context to bring more awareness and clearer communication in parties to find more efficiency in the way that we use our time, resources, and energy.
That was a beautiful description of that. Thank you so much.
You're
That
so
really kind
welcome.
of opens up the door for what that looks like. And as someone that's designed to thrive in partnership, I am well aware of how my energy is so different in a group than it is when I am one on one. I feel more like myself in a partnership. And last except when I was a high school teacher, and I will say the energies of children are just so much different than the energies of adults. It helps me definitely understand where I had a harder transition into a managing adults than I did managing a classroom full of children on the south side of Chicago, who everyone would have said these kids are not easy to manage. It's like, those kids are a breeze. Any tips or tricks to inform us on how to manipulate energy in a positive way better, our own included?
Oh, I think it would start with getting a comparative analysis. Um, the comparative analysis breaks down your environmental influences across the board. That is something that you'll find a little different than a human design reading, because again, the BG5 analyst works with transorg entities. Our focus is always on Penta 1 OC16. So in human design terms, BG5 terms, the Wa is an unconscious, large group energetic, right, influence, like concerts, big malls, places that have more than 50 plus people in them. There becomes this resonating quality towards them. Then on the smaller group side, your penta or your small unified group work, there's different laws that govern those entities. So it's really just knowing the different types of environments and how they can potentially influence you by receiving a comparative analysis, which is what we do as BG5 experts. So if you're curious about understanding how you are affected by group energy, I would highly suggest getting a comparative analysis by a certified and licensed BG5 expert.
Excellent. And as we wrap up today, I have three questions I ask every single guest.
Let's do it.
What is your superpower?
Ooh, I hold presence,
And what is your purpose?
rulership, self-mastery.
And my favorite question, what's next for you?
Who knows?
You said you're on your 17th business. Is there an 18, 19, or 20 in there?
Who knows? I move in a very interesting pattern as a manifester. Since your community is aware of our terminology, we are known as initiators in the BG5 world. We operate on different rhythms and patterns. I am an emotional being, so I have no idea what my next step is. I do know the projects that I do carry forward, but there's always sometimes something that just takes my breath away. So I keep people on their toes in that sense.
I have been on my toes waiting for what next would be my podcast. So it feels like we've come full circle of being able to have you. I think it was actually this time last year that I might have met with you at BG5, probably a little bit earlier towards the year, but it's lovely that we finally came together.
Yes, we've had a lovely dance. We have had a lovely dance, and you bring such an inspiring light to so many people. in holding the space in the convergence of these conversations. Katie, I just want to recognize you for your amazing work with what you're doing with women, because it is not traditional when we talk about energy and gene keys and chakras, and we talk about all of these wonderful tools that are available to us that are non-traditional in the business world on how to really activate more joy, more freedom, more love, compassion, and empathy with the people that we exchange our time and energy with. So I just want to recognize that in you and all of your followers. You're all doing amazing work, and I'm so excited to be part of this platform. So thank you for the opportunity
Yes,
and
I like to call
keep
them
doing it.
listeners, not followers. No one's following me anywhere. Carve your own path, I always say to people.
Yes, please do.
But
That's
I
what we
appreciate
welcome.
that so much. And I always like to give, I guess, the last word. Any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share, the master communicator that you are?
Oh, enjoy the ride. Try to enjoy the ride as much as possible. It is such a beautiful experience if we learn how to see things correctly, to really appreciate all of it, the highs, the lows, and everything in between, and to really show up for yourself. I think that's what's important, to show up for yourself.